G2, you know I can't quit them. I'm on record multiple times of having said, fuck G2, fuck the players, fuck the fans. It's only really fuck the fans. I love the team. I love the org in a way as well. And obviously Taz, lovable Taz, who's, they're going to win another tournament, guys. And then where's your Hooksy today, dickhead, right? Where's your Hooksy today? So anyway, fingers crossed they beat Spirit. But anyway, G2 have done something that I said they absolutely needed to do. And that was they had to come out and talk about the Niko thing. It had to happen at some point. So for those who've been living under a rock, i.e. all of my family in the 80s, apparently, Niko is meant to have signed a pre-agreed deal with Falcons, the Saudi Arabian organization, that have recently brought in Simple on a temporary loan with the option to buy him out. And Falcons are looking to create the super team. By the way, Falcons, even with Simple, still can't fucking buy a win. They're terrible. But Niko is going to get the bag and go to Falcons. It's been reported by multiple outlets now, but Niko has said nothing about it, and G2 up until recently had said nothing about it. And I made a point on a previous stream talking about G2. Surely this is the easiest thing in the world. You just come out and release a statement saying, yes, it's true, Niko's going to be joining Falcons after the Shanghai Major. That's really our last opportunity to win a major as a team. So let's go get this bread. And all the fans are going to be behind you going, yeah, all the Niko fans, come on, they're pulling for Niko to get his major. It just makes total sense to make the statement instead of leaving everyone in the fucking dark about it. As though, will he, won't he, is it done, isn't it done? All of the fucking Twitter clout goblins out there who retweet half-truths and bullshit, the fucking Harumis of this world. Actually, it's not a done deal. It's just fucking, let's put all of that to fucking bed. Let's give that the metaphorical shot of rum, fall the fuck in on that one, and let's just put that to bed, right? And you put that to bed with a statement. Now, it never came from G2 until now. Nell, who I just haven't blocked on Twitter, no use to me, but he did find an interview, and I believe because it was in French, people might not have caught it. I can play the clip as it happens if you want to hear French. I don't know. We can just
si on avait voulu garder Niko, parce qu'il a encore plusieurs années de contrat, on aurait pu le faire. Donc, si on l'a fait, c'est qu'on considère que c'est un moment, peut-être un montant, peut-être une phase pour ces rosters, où c'est la bonne décision. Mais le fait qu'on ait signé Malps en juillet, alors qu'il joue historiquement les mêmes positions que Niko, peut-être que c'est un peu anticiper la suite. Et peut-être qu'on est déjà en train de travailler sur qui remplacera Malps dans sa position de anchor.
Fuck it, we'll pause it there. Anyway, Nell, being French, translated the key quote, the only time G2 have specifically referenced Niko leaving, and put it out there. And you can see this is what the G2 CEO, Albon Deschalot, said. If we wanted to keep Niko, because he has several years left on his contract, we could have done so. If we did, it's because we consider that this is a moment, perhaps an amount, perhaps a phase for this roster where it is the right decision. But the fact that we signed Malbs in July when he's playing the same positions as Niko, maybe it's a bit of an anticipation of what's to come, and maybe we're already working on who will replace Malbs in his anchor position, and he could move into the positions that Niko will be leaving at the end of December. Now, what's fucking interesting about this is, I don't remember which analyst said it. It might have been Maui, it might have been Thorin, it might have been Kassad. I'm using those names because it was one of the analysts that Reddit likes to shit on. But I believe they speculated at the time they were signing Malbs. They said Malbs is not going to play with Niko. He is likely the long-term replacement for Niko. and I think the clip went up on a Reddit. I couldn't find it today when I was looking for it, but it might have been deleted. You never know with Reddit moderation. And anyway, they got shit on. They were like, no, obviously, Mr. Malbs could never replace Niko. Nobody could ever think it. Meanwhile, Malbs is playing dog shit positions, which he was not supposed to be able to do, popping off and carrying games, role cells in shambles. But I think this is interesting because if you had said to me, Malbs as a possible replacement for Niko, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have said, no, definitely not. But he's done really, really well. He's hit the ground running at G2. Maybe his skill ceiling is a lot higher than I ever thought it could be. And maybe Niko's going to go to Falcons. And as I said on the Falcons video, I'll repeat it here. I think you have to get real comfortable with the inevitability of Falcons being the number one team in the world at some point in 25 or 26. Most likely second half of 25. I think they're going to go get all of the pieces they need for that to be the case. And if you have Niko and Simple, i.e. they're Messi, they're Ronaldo, at the team, all you have to do, if you're a non-star player, but just someone who's really good at playing your particular role, your particular part within a team, you join that team in a heartbeat. You join that team in a heartbeat, and you just basically are the foundations for those two stars to shine. Because a team with Niko and a team with Simple is never going to lack for firepower. It's never going to lack for clutch ability. It's never going to lack for explosive, individual moments. And it's never going to lack for hunger and desire to win. So ultimately, all you have to do is turn up and do your fucking job. And by the way, it looks likely Magisk will be a part of that. You've already got a fantastic anchor there. This is before... Imagine a world where they go out and buy like Jim Fat as an anchor and maybe Magisk changes into an IGL and does these other roles. Who fucking knows what they're going to do and what they're going to spend. And by the way, I'll tell you, if Falcons ever came in for if Falcons came in with massive money for like Shuhei and Jimmy, for instance, or Zershin, or whoever you think might fit better in your Falcons fantasy team, Mouse absolutely take it. Mouse absolutely take the money. Of course they do. They are academy players, by the way. There would be nothing but upside if they got like a significant million buyout for each of those. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But ultimately, I think now, just get comfortable with that. Falcons will be the number one team. Falcons will probably win a major at some point. It's the sign of the times. And I want to remind everybody, I've seen this before. I called Man City dominating the Premier League back when Man United was still on top. As soon as that buyout happened, I wrote it's on the Substack actually. I wrote an opinion piece. It's called Sign of the Times in Manchester or something. And I just prophetically said, Man City will end up dominating the Premier League while Man United will go on to win no trophies. And I remember we published that at a magazine called Sabotage Times, and I was like a sports correspondent over there, and all the Manc fans lost their fucking mind. All the United fans lost their fucking mind. They were there in Singapore, Malaysia, India. They were all there telling me why I was wrong. And he's done it again, guys. He's done it again. Called that one. And I feel a very same energy coming out of Falcons right now. I don't like it, but it's probably going to happen. So anyway, that was the first piece of commentary coming out of G2, and this was further followed up on and covered by HLTV, and you can see here that also there were some other quotes that they pulled from it. Deschalot stated that while G2 have the option to keep Niko, their recent signing of Malbs MD was made with future-proofing in mind, because he has several years left on his contract. We could have done it. This is the quote I just read you, blah, blah. But then he goes on to say, maybe we're already working on who will replace Malbs in his anchor position, and he could move into the positions that Niko will be leaving. Deschalot also, according to a translation by French Insider Nell, commented on the future of Munacy, emphasizing that the Russian is currently part of G2's roster plans, and it is widely known that Munacy specifically values playing with Niko, and there has been speculation that he could depart. And he says, we're working on what the G2 CS roster will look like in the future. For us, Munacy is at the heart of the project. In any case, Munacy has a contract of more than a year, so it is up to us. For him to leave, we would have to accept that that, as in meaning the buyout. But I think he has a special relationship with Niko. He's been his mentor. He admires him a lot, and Niko has helped him in his career. But today, Munisi is also the best player in the world, and he has an opportunity to become the leader of the roster in his own right. So we're working on the G2CS roster and what that will look like in the future. So, lots more to get into here. I said the absolute disaster for G2 is if they lose both Munisi and Niko. The team couldn't survive that, in my opinion. If Munisi was to leave and go to Falcons as well, by the way, creating a trifecta of Munisi, Simple, and Niko, forget about it. I don't care. You could put fucking Hooksy on that team. They're still the number one team in the world. It would be whichever two join are incidental. The fact that one of them would likely be Magisk and then +1 is fucking wild. The firepower and individual talent on that roster would be crazy. So it was imperative, if G2 wanted to remain competitive, that they lock up Munisi onto a contract. And I'm glad that the CEO has finally publicly assuaged some of the fears, because if you're a G2 fan, which means you're an insufferable fucking bellend, by the way, but if you are a G2 fan, you're probably worried, right? You're thinking, fucking hell, losing Niko is going to be pretty bad. But losing Niko and Munisi would be an absolute fucking disaster, to which you would be just unequivocally right. And so it is good that they have said, we're going to make him the heart of the project. He's got a year left on his contract, but maybe we'll extend that contract. Also, we're planning around the pieces, because this is the other part I like. Bringing in Malbs, and he's playing so well in a placeholder position, and them saying we're looking ahead and we're looking at who could play in that anchor role. As I said, this is where, by the way, Jimmy at Mouse must just be like, this could be huge. There's all these teams fucking looking out, for an anchor. Jimmy might be the best anchor player in the world. I think most fans might even say that. So he could get a big fat fucking contract from one of these organizations. If I'm his agent, I'm out there. I'm already in people's ears, because the thing that's going to happen is we haven't had a good roster mania for a while as we transitioned out of CSGO and into CS2. The roster manias have been fucking underwhelming. The one after the Shanghai Major is going to break people's brains. I'll predict that. Put that on the record. I think it's going to be fucking crazy. So, very good of the G2 CEO to get ahead of this. And also, if I'm Munisi, I'm just going to say this. I would rather be a legend at G2 and be viewed as the CEO puts it, the heart of the project. I'd rather be a legend at G2 than a passenger at Falcons, which I'm not saying Munisi would ever be a passenger, but in terms of the public amount of credit you're going to get if you play in a super team, the reality is people are always going to point to maybe the bigger names, the more experienced names, and you might not get your flowers. Now, for me, I agree with the CEO's assessment. I think Munisi is the best player in the world right now. I put him above Donk. I put him above Ziwu. I know there was some statistics. It might have been Nero again at HLTV, which actually showed Munisi was behind them like online, but when it gets to in the stadium, Munisi gets like a boost, he gets a bump, whereas Ziwu drops off. Just for me, Munisi's the best player in the world, and if he can maintain, or rather if G2 can maintain a good team around him, they can still win trophies just with Munisi. Like just having him play as well as he can and work as hard as he can. So we'll see about that. Anyway, this then spilled over into more coverage and speculation. Let me just get it for you. At a time when everyone is talking about where's Munisi going to go, how's it all going to fucking pan out, is he going to stay at G2, G2 CEO making public overtures to how much they're going to support him in the project. It just so happens while this is going on, G2 have had a run all the way through to the finals at these Blast World Championships that they've had in Singapore, which, by the way, I've been looking at the photos of, like, what Launders and Maui have been posting, and looks like everyone's having a good time, so good on you guys. But this is why Munisi's just a top G. He's just a legend. There was this interview coming out from the Blast. This is after they beat Vitality, I think, today. And it said here, let me just go through. He was asked, talk me through the preparation for the games. And he said, obviously, this has been an incredible tournament on a personal level. You're building up to the Shanghai Major as one of the favorites for the best player in 24. What do you credit as the biggest motivators for improving? From the players on our team to the coach. Taz here is in shambles. You all thought you got me after Rio. Oh, Taz might win another tournament. And he's got Munacy, the best player in the world, saying that Taz was instrumental in helping him develop. Fuck y'all, Taz haters. Fuck y'all. Anyway, from the players in our team to the coach, management, and everyone else, they help me to feel comfortable and not just motivated, but just to keep progressing. You should not forget that you always need to learn from the mistakes you do and from other players as well, because if you only look at yourself and you only focus on yourself, it's bad. I also think you should always help players, i.e. your teammates. And if you see a player making a mistake, you can speak with them about it. And you will also learn from it, I think it's just having people around me, great people around me. They help me to develop. It helps that I'm obsessed with this game, and I love playing this game. I love Counter-Strike. What a legend. I fucking love this kid. He's, put it this way, if I was an owner or a manager or a coach, this is exactly the player I would want. I would want this player to be at the heart of my project. Do you know why? Not just because he's so fucking good, i.e. best player in the world. Not just because he's the best AWPer at a time when people are struggling to really get used to CS2 and CS2 AWPing, and the wide peak meta seems to have radically changed the game, and rifles feel, more effective if you have an understanding in how to play it. It's everything he says. It's not just his work ethic either, right? Where he's always grinding, always practicing. It's every single fucking interview question with this kid. This kid's like 18, 19 now, is he? Has he had another birthday? I don't know, because I didn't see a gambling site advertising. But anyway, every answer he gives is just the shit. The absolute best. When I look at interview questions and answers from players, there's a lot of the time I go, you shouldn't have said that, mate. Oh, that's a bit weird. Oh, you could read between the lines there. It's just always spot on with Munacy. It's just always spot on. He's 18. He's speaking in a non-native language, and every time he nails the fucking answers. This kid is a media godsend. He's a godsend on the fucking server. What more do you need? And so, look, one of the upshots has to be, and G2, if you're watching, and I know you watch my content, and I'm sure you're more than aware of this, Niko, if we're now publicly admitting that Niko is going, and we are publicly admitting that Malbs is the replacement for Niko long term, what you absolutely have to do, is you got to give this kid the bag, and also, in the same way that you've historically done with Niko had input about recruitment. You got to let Munacy have that input now. He needs to be, as the star and the leader of the team, he needs to have pieces around him he's comfortable playing with. And if G2 do that, and you fully commit to that, and you let Munacy occupy the same degree of space that you've allowed Niko to have, then G2 will still be competitively relevant, even in a post-Niko world. There's a lot of questions that you can throw out there about, does Niko still have the desire to win? Is this a move for the bag, etc., etc.? But ultimately, I think he's making a move because he has been told, we will build a super team around you. And Niko has historically played in super teams and won things, and I think he wants to do it again at the back end of his career before he becomes an IGL. So I appreciate that. I fuck with it. But G2 have got to give the same consideration to Munacy moving forward. So there it is. But now we know Niko to Falcons, 100% reality. Post-Shanghai, Rostermania is going to be insane, and Falcons are finally going to build that super team.